Maharashtra Real Estate Regulatory Authority, or the MahaRERA, has formed a committee to look at stalled and delayed projects. Now, Maharashtra has over 4,500 lapsed housing projects involving a sum of over 78,000 crore rupees. This is nearly 10% of all projects that have been registered in the last 5 years. ET Now's Khushbu Tiwari spoke with MahaRERA member Vijay Sadbir Singh on how RERA is planning to revive these projects.
The committee will analyze the stalled projects, why they got stalled, why the projects failed, why they could not go ahead. And based on their analysis, they will take appropriate action. And secondly, the committee will also monitor such projects and will try to find out how we can help the promoters in putting these projects back on rail.
For the last 5 years, since the RERA has been active, how many complaints have been resolved and how many stalled projects are we looking at now?
You see, in all we had more than 12,000 complaints which have been resolved and orders have been passed. We are having some more complaints, and different benches of RERA are in the process of resolving these complaints also. As I also mentioned in my discussion, that we are having a conciliation forum. That's an alternative dispute resolution mechanism of RERA, and under which we are having more than 40 benches where regular hearings are conducted by our conciliators. In every bench we have one conciliator from the promoter side, developer side, and one from the consumer side.
So today you had a good discussion with developers and CREDAI. What suggestions did they put forth and how are you looking on them? What's your opinion on them? Something on the credit line, and they also talked about interest waiver. How do you look at them?
Well, there are many issues. Some are concerning the policy issues before the government. On that, MahaRERA will definitely take appropriate action and bring them to the notice of the government. And wherever we can take action, like for stalled projects, we have formed this committee, and similarly we can think of various measures which can help us in reviving these projects.
Now, what exactly is this concern of stalled projects in Maharashtra? Why has it arisen now? And are we going back to that phase in real estate where a number of projects used to be stalled? What is the profile of these developments? To get a better sense of what's going on, I'm joined now by Boman Rustom Irani, CMD of Rustomjee Group and VP of CREDAI. Thank you so much for speaking with us, Mr. Irani. Let me begin by just getting your sense, because we just played out the interview of a member of MahaRERA who says they're going to be looking into this. But what's the extent of the problem, and what are the reasons that we're seeing more and more stalled projects?
So thanks, Tamanna. Actually, the number of stalled projects are roughly about 9,000 plus. Let me just get you the exact numbers, but more importantly, these projects are actually stuck from an earlier era. They're not something that has happened today. I can just tell you the numbers right now. 35,000 projects are there in the country. 9,300 are completed. 26,000 are remaining pending. But a very large number of these are in Maharashtra itself, and these numbers will come to you later. But about a certain number of projects which have been stuck before the advent of RERA as such, that is to say before there was a proper regulatory authority, are the ones that we are talking about today. They could have been stalled for a lot of reasons, some of them regulatory, some of them financial, some of them pure legal or litigative issues. The idea that no person who has invested money in real estate should get shortchanged is the reason we are thinking of coming up with ways to restart these stalled projects. And like we mentioned yesterday, in a very good meeting that we had with RERA Practitioners Welfare Association, certain CAs, we had Mr. Parimal Shroff, solicitor, on the panel with us. We had RERA chairman as well as member. Vijay Sadbir Singh ji was the member who was there, and Ajay Mehta ji was the chairman was there. We discussed ways to kind of get these projects started. And what I mentioned yesterday was real estate is a 4-horse chariot. There are the developers themselves, there are consumers or customers, there are the bankers and financiers, and finally there's the government. We need all 4 to come together, and we need them to address the issues so that the developments can take place. And all those developments that have been stuck for quite some time would have run into a lot of financial issues, and these issues need to be kind of cut off so that the incumbent developer, the incoming developer, would be able to complete these projects and give what is most important, the consumer is home. After that, financial institutions.
Before you come to that, Mr. Irani, I just need some clarification. You're saying most of these projects precede MahaRERA coming into action. But they are now, as I understand it, a significant number of projects which have gone into the stalled category because they have either lapsed and gone beyond the RERA deadline, or there have been complaints from consumers. Can you give us a sense of how many of these are recent post-RERA, and has this in any way got to do with the increase in input costs, etc.?
So firstly, we're talking of an all India level, but MahaRERA deals only with Maharashtra. And I can speak as far as I'm concerned about the MMR area, that's Mumbai and all the surrounding areas. I firmly believe that a lot of these projects are stuck because of the earlier issues that were there before the advent of RERA. Some of them have run past their deadline, but I think that's a simpler problem to solve. The major issues are financial, or issues where they've been stuck due to litigations, etc. These would be a little tougher to sort out. And because of the time lapse between when they were stuck and today, they definitely have financial issues. So we need to sit with the financiers, the bankers. We need to sit with the customers. We need to get an incoming developer, or then have the group of buyers themselves take up these projects for development and get all the SOPs from the government as well.
Okay. Can you tell us what the profile of these stalled projects is? Because the fear is that those dark days when people weren't sure that if they were buying under construction projects, would they get it or not, that they will return. There's clearly no threat of that, Boman?
Absolutely not. I can say this to you. I'm not saying absolutely not in that way. But what I'm trying to say is, if a project has been cleared by all the authorities, that is to say all the approvals are in place, only after that do they get a RERA number. Thereafter, of course, a developer's financial credentials have got to be checked. And this is why RERA is going deeper and deeper into sharing more and more information. And what Chairman MahaRERA mentioned yesterday is that we will have standard formats for everything. Wherever a developer needs to deviate, he may make a statement that he's deviating from, let's say, even something as simple as a standard agreement. And he can state these are the deviations for these reasons. After that, it is entirely up to the consumer, the customer, to decide whether he still wants to go ahead with that project. Because once he decides that, because he's the one who's got to make the decision basis, the prices that he's being offered, basis the location that he's getting, etc. MahaRERA can just be a guide, or MahaRERA can point out what are the things that a customer needs to know or check, and ask the developer to put that information out there. But beyond that, any agreement between two parties is an agreement between two parties. If both the parties are knowing what they're getting into, they would do so with full knowledge, and they would be happy with the consequences thereof.
So since I have you here, let me get a sense of what's happening in the market since we spoke last. In terms of demand, we've seen inflation really shoot up since then. Interest rates beginning their upward journey. That's traditionally a dampener for those who want to buy homes and take home loans. Are you beginning to see the impact of that on demand?
So let me tell you 2-3 things, right? One is inflation means that the interest rates will go up. And the flip side of that is real estate happens to be a natural hedge against inflation. So you are in this perfect position where you know that there's an inflation, interest rates are going to go up. This is the right time for you to pick up an asset, because asset prices will also go up. Because all material prices are going up, asset prices are going to go up. We were speaking to a lot of bankers, and they believe that 6.5% interest rates were the lowest in the lifetime that most of them have been in business. But more importantly, the real effect of the increase in interest rates will start to be felt once they cross 8% or 8.5%. But again, over here, I want to state that with the prices rising, if a purchaser was supposed to lock his home price today, he'd be far better off than doing so when the inflation reaches a higher level. So overall, I don't see any kind of slowdown as such happening till the interest rates rise beyond a certain level. And if you remember what I said the last time also, Tamanna, what has happened during COVID is that people have realized more than stocks, bonds, shares, only assets or investments that would try to get them a better return. Home is the one asset that they can continue to enjoy and still, reap the upside.
Appreciation in the asset value has been very poor in the last few years.
Poor compared to what, Tamanna? Even today, I can tell you with most of the projects that we launch, and I have seen launched around me, the prices between when the asset is launched to when the asset is ready is a good 15 to 20%. And these assets turn around in, I would say, 2 years or 2.5 years time. I think that's a healthy return. I think that's a very healthy return.
All right. Thank you. Pleasure as always to speak with you and get a reality check what's happening in the real estate business.
Thank you, Tamanna.